Hey guys, this is Crazy Sean DX, and welcome back to another rendition of Praise Appraisal, where I determine if something is worth the praise or not worth the praise. Man, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition coming out on next-gen consoles, and it's gonna be great, even though the main selling point is apparently available on older versions for $5. But hey, I suppose that's still reason enough to take a look at one of the worst and most disappointing games of all time in Devil May Cry 2. If you want a refresher on the first game, go ahead and click the note up here, or if you prefer to watch it afterwards for whatever reason, it's still in the description below. Anyway, Devil May Cry 1 had quite a success that, if I'm not mistaken, had surprised Capcom to the point that they got to work on a sequel right away, with virtually nobody who worked on the first game working on it, including the first game's director and series creator, Hideki Kamiya. Kamiya-san was understandably upset, and you don't upset a man like him when he has a Twitter. He's probably blocked Capcom at least 3 times anyway. Over a year later, it saw a release and... oh my. What the hell happened here? Well, for starters, you literally made the game with no one who worked on the first game. Second, you put in a director who, at first glance, you'd think would improve, as the credited director is Hideaki Itsuno, and went on to direct DMC3, 4, and 5, and even supervise production of the reboot-turned-spin-off series, but actually, he was only director for the last 4 to 5 months of development on this game. No joke. I can't seem to find any info on who the original director was, but honestly, I think that's for the best. Besides, I wouldn't want my name tied to this shit either. Fans will probably harass me to death anyway. You know, let's just get this out of the way. This is, well, Devil May Cry 2. May God help us all. So the game starts by retelling a bit of the story with Sparta while introducing a new character in Lucia, who half the time sounds like she has some kind of accent like Nico in the 5th game, but the other half of the time she sounds like she just had poor direction in terms of acting. Dante then shows up to help her and take out the demon burbs and... You know, I remember being told that this is the best looking Dante in the series, and hell, maybe it's because this is the PS4 version, or maybe it's some kind of glitch, but 1, was Dante always blue-eyed? And 2, in virtually every scene he takes part in, his eyes are practically unmoving and just look soulless. Which makes sense because he's absolutely nothing like he was in DMC1, right down to the voice actor being different. I may get in more into it when I discuss the story bits, but arguably the one thing that is, for lack of a better term, quirky that he does is that he makes his decisions in terms of helping Lucia based on a coin flip. A fucking coin flip. What are you, Harvey Dent? Lucia throws a dagger at a map that was over a special artifact of some kind to signify where she hopes to meet him next. The game officially begins with mission 1, and honestly, it's not too bad. I mean, the gameplay feels fine, and I like that not only is the dodge button mapped to a single button, but you can use it to run up walls and even do cool launches in the air to perform aerial gunshots. But so far, it seems alright. I mean, it's not like for most of the game I only have to end up dodging and shooting, right? Oh, that reminds me, most of the time you can literally just dodge and shoot enemies and nothing would go wrong. Yes, that includes most if not all of the bosses. Oh. Look, I'm just gonna level with you. I played this before a couple years back to the point that I needed a break from it and couldn't even finish the second campaign. And yes, there is in fact a second campaign, and I will get to that in a bit. Not to mention that literally one of the first achievements I got on that initial playthrough was getting an S rank in a combat encounter. I don't think I even got that in DMC1 until halfway through the game. I'm supposed to suck at these games. In fact, if we count the gold orb use, I only died once of the playthrough. And if we don't count the gold orb use, then I didn't die at all. It was my first time playing, whereas DMC1's first time through kicked my ass. It was challenging, frustrating, and still a memorable time. I'll admit I got stressed out, but looking back, it was still a time I'm glad I went through. So I wasn't looking forward to having to play this again. Now that I have... yeah, that's the crazy thing about this. I actually died a few more times than before in this game. Mostly due to carelessness, but that was mostly because of the tentacle boss. What's his name again? Yeah, I'm not gonna try pronouncing that.
And you can't make me.
However, part of all that was because I didn't want to just dodge and shoot and do nothing else, because that isn't fun. Hell, there were even parts of the game where you could straight up cheese by just standing there in a certain spot, shoot, and boom, you're good to go. That'll be $20 on the goddamn eShop. As for the aforementioned second campaign, you get to play as Lucia, who was put in the game due to fans complaining that Trish wasn't playable in DMC1. So why not just make Trish playable in this one? They did. You just have to beat hard mode with Dante. Then what was the point of adding Lucia? In terms of how Lucia plays, well, I'm not gonna lie, I found her gameplay to be more enjoyable than Dante's. I mean, not a ton more enjoyable, but it was definitely a bit more, dare I say, fun to play as her. Her use of throwing daggers as she ballet twirls in midair while seamlessly throwing them to her assault with not just her weapons but also her kicks, it felt surprisingly refreshing. Too bad her campaign is about 5 missions shorter than Dante's, but hey, I'd love to see her again in the series. Remember that for later on, everyone. I got some venting to do about that bit.
So, like the previous entry, this is a hack-and-slash game all about style with mission-based gameplay, except unlike the first game, you technically can't revisit older areas from an earlier mission in a newer mission. There are, of course, the orbs that I think actually look worse than they did in DMC1, with red orbs being currency for stuff, blue orbs increasing health, purple orbs increasing our devil trigger meters, and gold orbs instead of yellow orbs to revive us, but let's be real, they're literally yellow orbs, or so whatever. Speaking of the red orbs, let's try and unlock some skills with our weapon. Oh, for fuck's sake!
Okay, why would you make a sequel to a hack-and-slash game about stylish ways to use your weapons without the stylish ways to use your goddamn weapons?
Spending red orbs on these weapons just makes them stronger. That's it. Yeah. And they end up so damn costly, at least for most of the guns, that, honestly, I have no words. I struggle to come up with anything funny to say here. This is just garbage. Not to mention that the style rankings you can get in combat are barely even about style at all. It largely just depends on how long you can keep a damn combo going. No joke, with Lucia, I got an S rank in at least 4 combat encounters, and all I really did was mash triangle a ton with a bit of dagger play on the side. And maybe dodging, but not much dodging. There's no strategy to any of this. And it's like the makers of this game didn't even try to understand what people loved about the first game in the first place. Hell, one review publication called PSX Extreme, and yes, that's how it's spelled as seen on the title here, even tried to defend this game by saying people didn't like it only because of the lack of challenge and nothing goddamn more.
Okay. I see where you're coming from, as the challenge is great, but that's just the thing here. I am a person who feels like people wanting an easier mode for games like the upcoming Demon's Souls remake or even other Soulsborne games, having lower difficulty for that, I'm all for that. It's more accessibility for more gamers to be able to get to enjoy the game and even get to know more about the lore, which usually is the best selling point of the Soulsborne games I've heard. In fact, I'm even a critic about how Cuphead has an easy mode but locks you out of playing the final boss if you only choose the easy mode. And no matter how many dashing journalists that end up failing to dash, it's not going to convince me otherwise. But here's the thing. Challenge is important. When it comes to being challenged, you have to overcome it. And challenge is good with that because it teaches the player to grow. It teaches the player to end up getting better. It helps them get better with better hand-eye coordination and all that. And on top of that, there are games that are, can be fun and yet not so challenging. And that's the main thing about this that they forgot to do with Devil May Cry 2. They forgot to make it fun. So you can cry about you can cry about people complaining about there being a lack of challenge or whatnot, but that's just it. There are games out there that have not been challenging that are fun. Hell, I end up playing the WWE games as bland as they can be. I do have fun with them, and I don't have fun on the higher difficulties, but I just usually have fun with them on easy mode, at least until they decided to put virtual currency earnings to be very terrible on easy mode, which is punishing the player for not being as well. And that's the issue here. You gotta have fun. You can't have to punish a player too much, but the main objective, the main goal that you have to have for the consumer is for them to have fun. Not just have the game engaging, not just have the game end up, being... Just make it fun! It's not hard to understand. Don't just make it challenging if you need to. Make it fun. Make it enjoyable all the way through. Why do you think I love Devil May Cry 3 so much despite the challenge being so major? Because it's actually fun to fucking play! I gotta be honest, none of that matched the script that I had planned for.
Let me just add on to this, actually, because I have to read it from here to make sure I get the point across. The reason this game is so despised is because it isn't fun. It's not just the challenge that's lacking, it's the fact that you can cheese through the game at times and learn absolutely nothing from any of it. The concept that they had for the game can be good, but they just forgot to at least make it fun. And that is most important, I feel, at times. Making sure people have fun when playing your damn game! I'm not joking when I say they forgot to make the game fun, by the way, because whether or not you cheese it in this game, it isn't really fun to do. Oh, by the way, adding infinitely respawning irregular enemies to a boss fight instead of changing how the boss actually acts isn't making it more challenging or even a bit fair or whatever. It just makes it bullshit! Anyway, there are also some hidden pieces for your amulet that help your devil trigger in a number of ways, such as helping it fly,
which was something that was already established as early as Devil May Cry 1 for Dante specifically.
Changing the element of your attacks from fire to lightning to ice, to a boost in offense, or to run much faster than you already would in the devil trigger form. It's honestly a nice incentive to try and go for them. Even though the ones over the statues/orbs suck balls and are barely a puzzle and just a time waster of hitting them evenly as possible so they all break and the barrier goes down. Weak sauce. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention the secret rooms. Yeah, these were a thing in Devil May Cry 1, usually with a bit of challenge here and there, but it was usually just something like, I guess you could say precarious, but at the same time, it was a nice fun little detour if you wanted to try and go for the extra blue orb fragments. The secret rooms in Devil May Cry 2? Literally just 2 waves of enemies in each room, and that's it. No challenge, no tricks, no nothing, just 2 waves of enemies. That's not... I'm speechless. I'm just speechless as to how lazy they made this. And the bosses? Well, like I said, for most of them, you can just dodge and shoot and you'll be good. In fact, due to how terrible aerial attacks are in this game, that's really all you can do for most airborne enemies and bosses, especially, and most notably, the helicopter boss. Who fucking designed this shit?
I don't want to talk about this no more, so...
I'm gonna be ending up discussing a bit of the story now because I feel it's at least crucial to discuss this, especially since the last time I looked at a Devil May Cry game, I did discuss the story rather thoroughly. However, even if this is an 18-year-old game almost, I'm gonna give a spoiler warning here for those that don't want to be spoiled for it, so you can click ahead to this time to go ahead of the story itself, and yeah, just... I don't blame you if you don't want to end up finding out what goes on in the game after 18 years. I'll see you at the time frame.
So it's revealed that Lucia has a mother in Mati, at least I think that's what it's pronounced as, I'm sure she pronounced it like that, and is a descendant of a long line of devil hunters who are to protect the island they live on, and it turns out that an evil man named Arius wants to use something called the 4 Arcanas to unseal a demon known as Argosax.
There's a jazz-related joke here somewhere, I'm sure of it.
And gain his powers to transcend all of humanity. In other words, he's a generic villain trying to get power from a plot device that literally has no defining features, let alone a face. By the way, coin flipping still isn't character development, nor is it a viable character trait. The fact that they felt this was enough character for Dante is astonishing. Fix his eyes already, man! As Dante journeys through the island, Lucia soon encounters Arius, and in an interesting plot twist that you will feel nothing for if you played the Dante campaign first, since, well, it ends up being explained out of nowhere and rather weakly there, Lucia is actually named Kai, and was a failed experiment of Arius's, and that Mati merely adopted her, while also noting that she could go rogue and become a demon at any time. Yeah, that never happens, by the way. Of course, Arius escapes, and sometime after, she gets the Arcanas, but leaves one with Dante, the others with Mati, and goes off to fight Arius alone.
For a defect, you show promise. But did you really think you could deceive? Have you come back to me, Kai?
Well, goddamn. Alright, gotta give props to that. Well done on her getting it done and beating the superior version and having the mask as a disguise and all that. Although, you know what would have made this so much better than just, like, viewing the aftermath of it? If we actually got to experience the battle against the superior clone or whatever, and had the satisfaction of Lucia conquering her.
Oh, and she gets reverted to damsel in distress. How lovely.
Oh hey, that's just what I was thinking when I played this trash.
Dante eventually hands over the Arcanas to save her, and they go off and trying to stop Arius and try to find a way into his lair. So I guess the order of things dictates that Lucia got to Arius first, but the ritual happened and knocked her out due to a blast of energy it gave Arius. But it also turns out the ritual kind of failed because Dante swapped out the coin needed with a fake one. Dante then kills Arius, and the day is saved. Yep, demon portals open, and Dante opts to go in, knowing he may never return, which leaves him to fight Argosax.
Oh, that reminds me, does anyone have a saxophone cover album of a bunch of Elder Scrolls songs?
Devils never cry.
Devils never cry. Dude, you're half devil and you literally cried when you thought Trish died before in DMC1. Quit being a revisionist, you neo-emo bitch! And just like that, Argosax is defeated in an admittedly drawn out, but kinda badass moment where Dante charges a gunshot, kinda wish we had that ability, kills Argosax, and then rides a motorcycle that he did get earlier in the game, by the way, sorry I glossed over that, further into hell.
So how things go with Lucia, by the way? Well, I see rituals don't care about fake replacements in this universe.
So Lucia fights Arius in a final battle and even fights a much more grotesque form he takes on that you can literally beat by moving left and right and spamming daggers at. Man, I should have known this campaign would end on a shit note. After he's defeated, Mati states that she's certain Dante would return, and then Lucia makes an interesting discovery. The coin Dante was using all this time was double-sided.
Macho? No, that doesn't make him endearing. It doesn't make him a macho. It makes him a twat.
Credits roll, and Lucia is back at Dante's shop. How the fuck did you even find it? And then Lucia hears a motorcycle outside, goes to check, and that's it. It's left entirely up to interpretation whether or not that was Dante, but given how the continuity was changed a bit and how he appears in future games that take place after this, yeah, safe to say he came back.
And so at long last, Devil May Cry 2 is taken care of. So, how much praise do I really think that this is actually worth?
So help me God, I actually had a good time going through this game a second time, and even finishing the Lucia campaign. However, this game is still flawed. Incredibly, incredibly flawed. I mean, it controls alright, and the gameplay can be great, but when you're able to breeze by with barely any effort or even a valid progression of challenge, it just doesn't work. And again, you have to make the game fun. Make the characters relatable or even likable. Give the villain more depth. Make us actually fucking care about the damn game. Unless they can do that in a remake of this game instead of constantly re-releasing it, I don't know if I can recommend it. Oh, by the way, the Switch version sits at 1.7 gigabytes despite the first and third entries on that console being much bigger than that, and yet the PS2 copy had 2 discs. They could have fit it all in one disc, and hell, maybe even had the campaigns meshed together like in DMC5, but no. It was all just a lazy effort to cash in on the first game's success.
I really don't have an outro for this. I'm just too fucking spent at this point.
Hey guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. If you liked it, please leave a like as it helps the channel grow, subscribe for more if you want to watch more of these, and click the bell to be notified of when I upload because YouTube shat his pants one day and decided that was life now. Do you like Paper Mario? I know it's an odd thing to bring that up, on a Devil May Cry video no less, but it's still worth mentioning as I did a video on that last time, which you can find as an end card till the next upload and in the description below. For the $10 patrons, we don't have anyone to announce yet, but no worries there. In addition, I have a gameplay channel called CSDX Gameplay with my most recent playthrough being Doom 3 for Halloween. I didn't finish it, sorry, it got a little too scary for me. Anyway, take care, be safe, Black Lives Matter, love is love, and please remember to stay awesome. Bye bye now.